What is up everybody, I am LeakyTapsMan and this is another wishlist video and I am going to do Saints Row 4 this week. So Saints Row as a series really impressed me. It was the first real GTA clone of the generation and it's gone from strength to strength with each iteration, but I think that there's still quite a lot of room for improvement, although Saints Row the Third took a lot of big strides in the right direction. So in summation is a list of pretty much everything I would like in the game within reason. Keeping in mind the general vibe of Saints Row 2 and 3, I would say more insanity, play to your strengths, because Saints Row really took the whole wacky route and rolled with it, and it worked really well, and they've developed a niche in the market and they need to exploit that as much as they can. So weapons, vehicles, missions all need to border on the obscene. Leave the serious stuff to your GTAs, to your Red Dead and all of those other games, but Saints Row is absolutely insane and that's why we love it. As for multiplayer, I think taking out competitive multiplayer was probably a good choice in Saints Row 3. The focus on co-op is definitely better use of their time. I'd just say up the co-op to 4 players rather than 2. The game is so much fun with 2 players. I just think with 4 it would be absolutely insane. Obviously you'd have to scale it in terms of difficulty of missions and stuff like that, but it can't be that much more work surely. And doing some of the activities in 4 player I think would be really cool, like insurance fraud, I love that. And just in general 4 players would just really up the ante. As for location, I think the city or cities that they could use definitely need more variety in terms of aesthetics. Stillwater was not so much an offender as Steelport was in Saints Row 3. The city felt far too similar and the regions did not have any kind of distinct nuances to them and they all felt very, very samey. I think a game like GTA San Andreas did it really well, where they made each region feel really separate from the last. I'm not saying move back to Stillwater because I think that they should move on to another city again, or maybe even incorporate Steelport, Stillwater and a new city, but there needs to be far more distinction between each of them. And also make the locations feel more alive like they did in Saints Row 2, where people would kind of pick fights with each other on the streets and people were like drinking and throwing up, just little things like that that make an open world feel much more alive, but seem to be lacking in Saints Row 3 for some reason. As for customization, I think cribs need to be more customizable than they were in Saints Row 3. And now Saints Row 3 did a lot of things right with customization and they really upped it a notch, but I think being able to move your furniture around, buy new furniture, buy wallpaper, extend the apartments, just things like this that give the game more longevity and give an extra value to money. And also more customization with weapons, because it was good to be able to upgrade weapons in Saints Row 3, but I feel they need to kind of let us choose the upgrades rather than just level it up, which gives us an automatic upgrade depending on the weapon. I mean, minor stuff here, but stuff that still makes a difference, positively. And a few things that they just need to add more of coming up. More enterable buildings and just landmarks in general. Stuff like malls and police stations that we've seen in other Saints Row games, and just more landmarks so we can know where we are on the map without having to look, and it just gives the map that unique feel that Steelport was sorely lacking. Of course, give the buildings some reason to go inside them, so collectibles or maybe Easter eggs and stuff like that, but I felt too much of the game was outdoors when a lot of it could have been indoors as well. More voice options is something that I would like. I don't know how doable this is with disk space, especially when you consider the 360, the limitations that DVDs offer. Maybe it'll be on the next generation of consoles, I don't know, but going back to the point, voice options, I'd love to have more. Maybe stuff like talking like a pirate, or talking like a really posh British person, probably like a lot of you think I sound, maybe, I don't know, a redneck, just some really funny accents. Because as cool as the Australian type Cockney geezer voices, which I always use, I'd like some more. More vehicle types I think should be added, so stuff like BMXs, rollerblades, jetpacks, and even stuff like combine harvesters, which I think you should be able to get like a massive one and kill people with it. That seems like something that Saints Row would do, and they could probably make an activity out of it as well. But just insane vehicles like that that other open world games for whatever reason don't seem to do. One really cool mode that I would like to see, which is something that Crackdown actually did, like a keys to the city type mode. If you don't know what this is, it's essentially a mode where you kind of have free reins to everything in terms of options, where you can spawn items and vehicles in front of you. You can make it low gravity, you can give your guy like crazy stats and stuff like that. It's almost like having a cheat mode on without cheating per se. Obviously don't tie this into achievements, it doesn't need to be exploited in any way, just it gives people more stuff to do when they've completed the game, and it would be a great mode to have in co-op instead of just constantly typing in cheats on the phone. Have a nice easy menu down by the side to do it on, similar to what Crackdown had. Really, if you haven't played Crackdown, it's somewhat difficult to describe, but it's a really fun mode, and something like that in Saints would be awesome. A point not so much towards the game itself, but I think Saints Row 4 should be on the Wii U as well. That's something that I'd like to happen, because Nintendo needs these type of games, and Volition kind of own Nintendo after promising a Saints Row game on the 3DS. Saints Row Drive-By I think it was called, and that got cancelled, so yeah, make friends with Nintendo and give them a version of Saints Row 4. Back to the game properly. No more filler missions, basically just activity missions more specifically. I don't know why Saints Row 3, they felt the need to make activities into missions, but they don't belong there. It was blatantly just filling time, and keep that crap out of the next game because you are fooling no one. I would also say keep Horde mode. It was really fun, but just make it actually worthwhile, so give it some unlockables, like say exclusive clothing items, stuff like that, maybe the odd gun, and also give a few achievements for it, because in Saints Row 3 it was kind of lacking in terms of incentives. There was really nothing about it other than wave after wave of enemies, and there was no light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. And to finish, I will just give a list of the following things that I would want back from Saints Row 2 that they either for some reason took out of Saints Row 3 or kind of altered it. Logos on the clothes, walking and combat styles that you unlocked from defeating certain enemies, mission replay. I have no idea why they would take this out ever, but put it back in. Certain activities, mainly Fight Club, Septic Avenger and the Demolition Derby, and racing as well. Don't know why they took any of those out, especially racing. Picking up objects as weapons, that is something that is really insanely fun, and there was no good reason to take it out. The day-night cycle, again, why? And finally, radio sing-alongs when you were in the car. Your character used to sing along to certain songs, and it was hilarious. So I'd love to see that make a comeback, especially if they incorporate stuff like pirate and redneck voices. That would be pretty damn funny. Okay, so all in all, that is more or less everything I would like in Saints Row 4. So we know the game is on its way, that much has been confirmed. As always, I would ask that you guys drop a comment on what you would like in Saints Row 4. This is one where I feel that everyone could give their own idea and it would be really, really good, because Saints Row has a hell of a lot of potential and it's not very limited by the route it takes, so you can always add insane stuff in and no one bats an eyelid. So I'm interested to hear what people suggest. Thanks for watching as always. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and goodbye.